opioids and arrests and overdoses and things like that. And he's been a great partner because when you have the Morris County prosecutor saying that this is a disease, that's a great starting point. And that's where we're taking it. So a lot of things going on. I'm going to concentrate on what we're doing about it. You know the problem, right? You know the problem. I mean, Brad does a tremendous job in educating people in a pretty quick amount of time on the problem, but what are we doing about it? I think for many years, people have been talking about the war on drugs. I haven't really seen that necessarily, and I haven't seen it work, so we keep on having these problems. I mean, the drugs of today are different than they were of years gone by. When I had a full head of hair in the early 80s and we arrested people for heroin, it was 3% heroin. Now I would argue it's about 60% heroin, and we're seeing fentanyl in mostly every load that people get arrested for. And many of the fatalities are fentanyl related. And it provides a problem for the police, right? Last weekend or so in Madison, right? Some police officers overcome by fentanyl. My canine unit, I have 19 dogs. We have injectables for the dogs because we're out there sniffing for it, right? So challenging environment. But before I start, I want to give a shout out to Chief Almer. Chief Almer is a very forward-thinking chief of police with regards to these issues. He understands the balance there. He's a guy you can talk to. Sophisticated guy. We talked about some fatalities in Narcan saves an hour ago with regards to it. And I also want to recognize him and the police department. They're going to be recognized by the 200 Club of Morris County on Thursday night for some tremendous police work that was done in this town last year, as many of you are aware. And I'd like to give a shout out, Chief and his department. None of this is good, right? Okay, I'm not going to hit you in stats, but I want to talk about Hope One. So we have this problem. We know people are dying. It's going up every year. Let's do something about it. So I got together with like-minded people. We started with the Chiefs of Police Association and the prosecutor's office. I started with the likes of Alton Robinson, who has all my respect, who knows addiction from the inside out. We talked to people in human services in Morris County and said, what can we do? If we have a blank canvas, what can we do to make a difference? So we said, let's go mobile. Let's bring services to clients out in the community. And let's start with the at-risk population. Most of us are very fortunate, right, here in Washington Township in Morris County. We're fortunate that we have monies. We're fortunate that we have insurance. We're fortunate that we have support. So if there's addiction in the household, we have support that we can hopefully get people in programs and things like that. But what we were seeing were the at-risk population, the people who have no support. Morris County, depending on what statistic and what magazine you read, hey John, what magazine you read, 6th, 9th most wealthy county in the United States. Hunterdon County. Right? Well, Hunterdon County is very wealthy, and Morris County, very wealthy. Do we have homeless in Morris County? Yep. How many homeless do we have? On January 23rd of this year, we had 398. Morris County, New Jersey? 398 people without support, many of them living at large. So let's start with that population. Where is that population? They're in homeless encampments. But Chief Almer knows, Chief Williver knows. Homeless encampments. In some of our more urban centers, we have community kitchens, formerly known as soup kitchens, right? Where people, if you go into Dover, or you go into Morristown, will find the at-risk population, the homeless population. Let's start with that population. So we'll sort of set up shop there, and this is how it's going to work. We need a vehicle. I have a vehicle. It's called Hope One, and I'd like to recognize Officer Travis Somerville and Kim Ketchebave, who are on Hope One tonight, who do a phenomenal job out in the community with Hope One, providing services out to people in the community, right here. So we have this vehicle. It used to be a SWAT vehicle, the Sheriff's Emergency Response Team, right? We have a hybrid team that we support the local police departments in Morris County for SWAT operations. So I had this SWAT truck. I think it looks like more of an Anthony's bread truck. You get a nice piece of bread, you know, in the truck. So we had this vehicle. We were going to sideline it. It was older. We said, let's put some money into this vehicle. Let's take the lights off it, the marks off it. Nope, the sheriff's star on that vehicle. Let's put some purple bunting on it. Let's make it welcoming. Let's even take the government license plates off the vehicle because of co-occurring illness, right? We know what that is, right? Many people are self-medicating, right? So maybe there's anxiety, there's depression, whatever the case may be. People are self-medicating. Let's not scare people. Let's make it welcome. Let's put some Wi-Fi in there so we can do work. People can do work. Let's put a charging station because even homeless and at-risk folks have phones. Anybody here doesn't have a phone? Right? And we're going to put educational materials in there, workstation. We're going to have coffee, buns, educational materials. Because in the words of Alton Robinson, recovery begins with a cup of coffee, begins with a conversation, right? It's going to cost $15,000 to do this. But we're going to take it from the drug forfeiture fund. Drug dealers pay for this drug program with the authorization of the prosecutor. So I have a personnel assigned to the Sheriff's Special Enforcement Unit, the Prosecutor's Special Enforcement Unit, and I have monies in there. So we took money for drug forfeiture. So drug dealers pay for drug programs. I personally think that's cool. It's the way it should be, right? So we're going to go out into the community with 3 people on board, or 4 now on board. Right, we're going to have a sheriff's officer in plain clothes. We're going to have a mental health clinician from the Morris County, the Essex and Morris Mental Health Association, okay? And we're going to have a certified peer recovery specialist, traditionally Alton Robinson, along with an intern. And we're going to go out into these communities. So the data sets we're going to use are, where are people dying? You see them dying. Where are they getting arrested? Where are they known to use? Okay? It doesn't take too far. You find out where people are known to use. So we head out there, just different in 2 ways. Mobile, bringing services to clients out into the neighborhood, and we know the bed and the program count when we go out. Every day, we have 19 treatment providers, and we know the program count. We know if we have a child under the age of 21 that we can go to Daytop, they have 25 beds for us. They're getting paid $262 a day regardless of your insurance. We have no problem with insurance. Don't worry about insurance. We've had no problem. Any problem yet, Alton? Not yet. How many people have you put in a program in the last year? 900. Don't worry about insurance, okay? So we go out into the community and we collect metrics. I just want to go on the record and say I'm a little bit of a metrics geek because I think you need to form a business plan and you have to know if it works or not. And you have to know what to tweak or not. So we've been out before today 121 times, okay, throughout the community. We traditionally go out on Mondays and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., 5-hour blocks. We try to get people, as they say in AA, when they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's when we want those folks. When they're getting up in the morning and they look like, sometimes they look like they got hit by a bus, okay? And they're making their way to the soup kitchen, get some breakfast. And we can see them about a block away. You can see them about a block away with the pinned eyes. okay? Constricted pupils, right? We could see them. That's when we want to talk with people, have a conversation, give them some educational material, give them something to eat, a cup of coffee, no pressure. Here's some educational material. Here's a coat. Here's some shoes. Here's some socks. It's raining out. You're wet. Dry your sleeping bag here. We'll give you a toiletry bag. We're stigma-free. I've been around the business a long time. We weren't always stigma-free. Stigma-free works. And my hat's off to you, because if you want to make a difference here, you've got to treat people right. Right, so we're out in the community so far, 121 stops. Go to the far right. We've had contact with 3,273 people before tonight that came up to us, not just counting people in a room, came up to us and said, I'd like some materials on this opioid problem. I have someone near and dear to my heart. A coworker has a child. My mom's sick. That's in Morris County, New Jersey. We've trained people in the use of Narcan 899 times and issued them Narcan, naloxone. That's sort of that same material that the police and the EMS and the emergency departments are carrying. We've trained people out in the community. There's a cost, $41 wholesale, okay, to do that. You get a full kit for $41 wholesale. We've documented 9 times we've saved a life. People have saved a life who have been trained by us, okay, or given a second chance, as we traditionally say. 120 people, about one every stop, have gone into some type of, from the truck, have gone into some type of rehab, recovery, or mental health program from the truck. People that were in a bad way, needed help, and said, can you take me right now? Never mind all the people, 900, right, that once they got back home and they got their affairs together and things like that. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you a secret. I thought this would work. I never, ever thought we'd have these numbers. I never thought we'd have these numbers. The people run to the truck. They run to the truck. I equate the truck to the bookmobile in the 60s and 70s. Little Jimmy can't read. And the bookmobile would come around and they say, little Jimmy, here's a book, a sports book. I liked the Knicks in the early 70s. Willis Reed, right? Earl the Pearl Monroe, Walt Frazier, right? Give me that Knicks book, right? I'll read it. And Jimmy, give it back to me in 2 weeks. And don't rip the cover off at this time, right? Bringing services to the clients, literacy. That's what we're doing. We're bringing services to the clients out in the field. And I have to say, it is arguably the most rewarding experience in my professional life. Because if we're not careful, all we're doing is emailing each other. You're seeing tangible results due to like-minded people out in the community. And as I said, the police departments here, phenomenal. We do it better here in Morris County. Hate to say that. We do it better here in Morris County. Like-minded people working towards common goals. So we have a lot of good stuff happening there, okay, with regards to Hope One. Okay? I really a big shout out for where we're going. Tomorrow, you'll watch the news hopefully. Tomorrow, we are turning on the City of Newark Police Department's Hope One. We're going to be at Penn Station tomorrow. Peter Francisco Park, right? Named after a very famous Portuguese fellow if you're from the City of Newark. Right? We're turning on the City of Newark's, Atlantic City, Monmouth County, Cape May County, and the list goes on and on. So this small program with a bread truck with some like-minded people out in the community, and Alton says, I said, what do we need to do? Like, we're getting this all done. He goes, get a truck, get a truck. All right, got a truck. Now we're turning on big cities, right? Big cities in New Jersey. So very rewarding experience, but more importantly is we'll never walk from your families. You know, people say, oh, 10 times this happened. I try to get them in a program. It's hard to get them in a program. We'll never walk from your family. If we could figure out how to get the person to want to come into the program, we win the Nobel Prize, as we all know, right? It's a hard business sometimes, but the success stories are overwhelming. They're absolutely overwhelming. So, I'm easily found, right, on the website in the Morris County Sheriff's Office. I'm the only sheriff in Morris County. I'm the only one. So, yes, if you call the courthouse, you ask for the sheriff. Okay? 24 hours a day. My personal cell phone, 973-224-6053. 224-6053. Call me. I get about 6 calls a week on placement issues, right? So we help people out. Your local police departments know how to make that all happen. They all have a relationship with CARES, with the sheriff's office, with the prosecutor's office on this. You are not alone in these issues. You are not alone. And I know we talk a lot about opioids, but we don't care about the addiction. We'll take care of any addiction. Benzodiazepines are pretty bad. People die from those withdrawals, right? People die from alcohol withdrawals sometimes, right? So any type of addiction, we're here for you. Don't be bashful about calling or on my website or CARES or whatever. We can make it all happen for you, okay? We feel confident about that, okay? Other programs I won't talk about, but we have things going on in the jail. We have programs in the jail that are brand new, real good. If your people have been in the jail, we take good care of them, and we try to help them on the way out. Pretty innovative programs, but that's for another talk. But if it's okay with you, why don't we try to do this again? And we'll talk about other programs that we're doing. I think we'd all love to come up here. This is a wonderful crowd, and thanks for the opportunity to present. So I'm going to now introduce my man, Alton Robinson, who makes it all happen for all of us.
You guys had some great presenters, right? Sheriff Gannon, Assistant Prosecutor Brad Seabury, and Prosecutor Fred Knapp. They was awesome. Can we give them a hand? The biggest problem is now you're just stuck with me, right? Academics ended with Sheriff Gannon, right? Now you have me. But I'm going to talk about a little bit. We come here for 3 reasons, right? Education, which you got a great education from all 3 guys. Awareness. And then we need answers, right? Because we know, everyone knows we have an opioid epidemic going on right now. And we do know that it's in Long Valley, right? I'm pretty sure that there's someone here that has a family member that's suffering with a substance use disorder. I just want you to know that recovery is possible. And normally when we do these programs, I have to always walk over because this is from my heart. And I have to shake this young man's hand right here, Prosecutor Knapp, and Assistant Prosecutor Brad Seabury, and you probably ask me why. Because they saved my life. How did they save my life? They gave me a 9-year prison sentence, August 28th of 2015. That's what turned it all around for me, right? So when I do this, I do it with great compassion because I know where these individuals are coming from, right? I know people like 2015, but it's only 2018. I didn't do the 9 years, right? I came back on a motion to reconsider my sentence, and I got Morris County Drug Court, which I'm actually still a participant of Morris County Drug Court. So you hear things like Chief Recovery Specialist, Certified Peer Recovery Specialist. What I'm most proud of is a person in long-term recovery. I've transitioned about 800 plus people, close to 900 people to treatment last year, right? This is a guy who works with Sheriff James Gannon and Assistant Prosecutor Brad Seabury. I work with the prosecutor's office there. And I'm the same individual they called a menace to society not so long ago. So I hear and I talk about hope, that it is possible that people do change. I see people all the time, and I bump into individuals that have come through CARES New Jersey. And what is CARES New Jersey exactly? It's a recovery community organization, right, that we work with an individual in 3 phases. Initially, we talk to those individuals, see exactly what they're willing to do, and kind of lead them down that pathway. That's the easy part, that initial conversation. And then we work with them while they're in treatment, right? We get an update weekly from every treatment center that we send people out. Most importantly, I don't really talk about those 2. Here's the most important piece. How many of you guys believe that treatment works? Look at this. Very small percentage of you guys believe that treatment works, right? How many of you guys believe that it's after treatment that don't work, but treatment does work? Well, that's where it's at. It's after treatment. I can guarantee you 80 to 90% of the people that walk inside of treatment, they probably stay clean while they're in treatment. How many agree with that? Treatment works, right? It's what happens afterwards that's so compelling and have individuals going in and out, this thing that we call relapse or recidivism, however you want to put it. That's where we come in. We're the answer to the now what. I've been to treatment for 6 months. I've been there for a year. I walk out the doors of treatment, and I have this thing that says, now what? What am I going to do now? I have no housing. No one's going to hire me because I'm probably a convicted felon. I have about, 20 of them, I guess, 20 felony convictions, right? And I have a job. So it's those things that keep individuals, right, in and out. You get a little bit depressed. You want to feel better. So what makes me feel better? To go back to what I left. So what we do at CARES New Jersey is we kind of bridge all of those gaps, right? With employment, with housing, work with these individuals. And here's the best thing about us. All of us, or most of us, have lived experience. And what do I mean by that? We've walked that journey, right? So when an individual comes in with their family member, and look, it's very easy for us to get the family, right? Because all we have to say to them is what? You don't understand. You don't get it. They walk into my office, and guess what? They be like, you don't get it. And I said, dude, what you're talking about with me right now is Addiction 101. I've been there, done that. I did that one 15, 20 years ago. And then we can start the conversation. Everything starts with a conversation, not a clinical session, right? I don't tell them what they need to do. They tell me what they're willing to do, and we work with that. And I think that's why we're so successful. Again, we have about 30 or 40 treatment facilities that we're actively engaged with. And what does that mean? I get an update every morning where the treatment beds are, who have treatment beds, and I see Cheryl sitting here from Mountainside Wellness Recovery. Thank you for coming. Let's give her a hand. She's actually part of the solution. So I want you guys to know, I'm going to ask you that question again. Do you guys believe treatment work? Show of hands. Well, I got a few more hands, right, than I did before. But I don't want to take up a lot of time. I just want you guys to know that we're there in Rockaway, New Jersey, 25 West Main Street. Anyone, my phone number, as Sheriff Gannon puts his out. Everyone, I'm sure some of you guys probably at this point probably have my phone number, right? If you got anyone struggling, you can call me day and night, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Sheriff Gannon doesn't have a problem doing it, right? So you guys can do it as well. It's 973-615-9406. Doesn't matter the insurance. We bypass that, right? They could be uninsured. They can have no insurance. Or they can have private insurance. We will find them a bed. There's many beds available in New Jersey. I know you guys don't normally hear that. You mostly hear that there's no beds available, or you have like a 3-week or 6-month waiting list. Don't believe it. You just got to know where the beds are, right? So much funding, DUI funding, SAI funding, SJAI funding. There's all kinds of things available for you guys. So if there's anything that I can do, I'm also the certified peer recovery specialist on Hope One, where we've transitioned about 120 people riding around in Sheriff Gannon's bread truck, right? Where someone just walks up to the truck and say, hey, I need help. I want to go to treatment. And guess what? Every person who have a substance use disorder have what we call a defining moment where they're ready to go. That defining moment's only going to last for a short period of time. When your loved one says, I'm ready, you know what they mean? They're ready when? Now, right? So when that now moment comes, give me a call. We will transition them to some form of recovery. And we don't just drop them after they go to treatment. That's the big part. We work with them when they come home. They get assigned a certified peer recovery specialist, someone who's walked this journey, right, that they can call day or night, not a sponsor, not a clinician, but someone with lived experience that can really get them from point A to point B. We call it bridging the gap, right? And I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. Thank you guys for having me here. This has been great. It's great to see so many of you, but we're ready to do whatever you guys need us to do. And thank you, Chief Armour. He's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, guys.